made a song, it's called Laral, and now I'd like to talk about it and explain how I made it and why I made it and why I made what I made. I don't even think that a lot of people are interested in this video, but just put way too much thought into the whole making of this track, and I have to get this out of my head and into the microphone. So how is this video structured? First I start with a quick story time, how I made the song, why I made the song, things like that. And then I will take all the components and break them down, songwriting wise and production / mixing wise. In case you want to skip around, just watch the parts you're interested in. All the timestamps are in the description, and now I will start the video. Quite some time ago I just played random notes and found this chord. Then I moved it up and down and added the high E. And then I thought, damn, that's a cool idea. And then I wrote a little riff, and then I completely abolished that, and then I didn't do anything with this idea for at least a year. So then in February 2024 I thought, okay, let's do something with this cool little idea. So at the time I was really getting into the prog stuff, you know, listen to Animals as Leah's on repeat. So I wanted to try something like that myself, you know, experimenting with different rhythms and harmony and stuff. Then one night, just when I wanted to go to sleep, all the ideas came to me, and I had to constantly lay down, get back up, write the stuff down. And that was definitely not good for my sleep quality, but very good for the song. I have the notes right here, I could show it to you, but you probably can't read it because I can't even read it myself. Yeah, some of the stuff stayed the same, other stuff changed quite a lot. Anyway, it gave me a pretty good idea of what I wanted to make. I quickly realized after trying to write something interesting that it wasn't that interesting. I played the exact same stuff as always, so I had to change my approach. So I just began to record some random notes and noises and started to construct the riff in the DAW. So I just moved my little chopped up sounds around and made a bass line with just a sine wave and programmed some drums. Everything sounded rough as fuck, but I had a little demo version I could work with. And then when I looked at the arrangement, I noticed something interesting. First is this intro, then there's the main riff, let's call that the A part, then the B part, which starts with the heavier breakdown stuff, and then the groovier part. Then two parts, let's just merge them together. That's the C part. Then again the P part with some changes. Then the A part again. And then an outro, which is basically the same as the intro. And then if you look at that, you can see it's a palindromic song structure. At least if you ignore all the variations in the middle part, which consists of two parts. It's just palindromic song structure accepted. And then if you look at the song name Laral, the song artwork is also symmetrical around the middle axis. Actually, this whole palindromic stuff doesn't make any sense. Forget about it, really. Now you may ask yourself, well, don't ask yourself, why is the song called Laral? Basically, I also experimented with granular synthesis a lot. And when you say, you know, granular, the more I explain this name, the less cool it becomes. It's crazy, but what have you thought? That a guy named DaniMusiX can come up with good names? Obviously not. So now since all this boring stuff is out of the way, I would really like to start the insanely interesting detailed production breakdown, because that's probably also the reason why you clicked on this video, in case anyone is even watching the video other than my mom. Hello. So now let's start with one of the main attractions here, the guitars. Quick disclaimer, this whole next part, whole breakdown is completely unscripted. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna talk about what I did. It's also a little bit more unedited, no crazy edits here, because otherwise I have to edit this thing 20,000 hours or something like that. So let's head into Ableton then. What do we have here? This is the older version of the project. That's where I made the demo, and as I said, I chopped up the sounds. Very chopped up, just to know what I want to do rhythmically basically, and I tried to do some interesting stuff here. For instance, you have all a little bit displaced, then the breakdown and noises. And then I did know that before, but then I realized, you know, I can put on the triplet grid, and then it escalated from there, and then I made this faster triplets in there. And then the second part, in the groovier P part and B2 part, first there are straight notes, and then here you have the triplet. That's how that part went down. Then here, C2 part. Yeah, oh god. C2 part, I just did that. Wasn't too crazy. Nothing's happening there. Then the chanty part, the B1 again. I completely escalated with the triplets whole. No, I just basically outlined the rhythm here, and then here again, when I recorded the random sounds with the guitar at the beginning, basically took the pick and did this. I arranged it in that way here, and the other guitars left and right. I'm gonna also talk about that later. It's a little bit confusing, I have to say. Then you have the basically 4-against-3 polyrhythms, because here you have the straight stuff, not triplet, no triplets here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have the triplets there, and it's dun dun dun, and then yeah, that's the idea here. But other than that, it's just the same part as the other B2 part. Then the exact same stuff for the A part, just changed up here, added that's basically the whole thing. So after I had all the chopped up stuff, I just had to learn the parts again. So I took my guitar right here, took the guitar, and then I learned it, re-recorded it, and thought, okay, how can I play this stuff? And how can I make it even more interesting? So at first, completely abolished the guitar in the writing process, and then I brought it back, and then I used my little fun secret techniques. So what do we have here? First I have 3 guitars. First the main guitar in the middle. It's also the one that played in the guitar playthrough. And then I have 2 guitars panned left and right. So I just arranged it for the 3 guitars. Again here, everything is basically the same as in the demo version. But for instance, you can very clearly hear that in the chanty part that I did something more interesting. You know, in the chanty part it was just the rhythm. And then I thought, okay, first the low, and then the high, and then slide, and pinch harmonic, and then again slides and pinch harmonics. This was, by the way, not the first version after the chopped up version. I first did the chopped up sound version, demo sound. Then I recorded it with the guitar and added all the interesting stuff. Back then I had just 2 guitars, and then I thought, no, I want a third main guitar, and it wasn't that clean, so I re-recorded everything again. So it was chopped up guitars, then recorded, so basically a demo version, a second demo version, and then the real guitars. And then I also edited stuff like crazy, you know. Tried to make it really clean here. For instance, here, to add a little bit more chopped up feel, I did the fade in, fade outs, cutted stuff out and stuff like that. Now I would like to talk about the C part, because I haven't done that yet. But for that I have to tell a quick story. Basically, when I recorded the guitars, I just jammed around and played this, the main chord from the ambient guitars, and then this, and then That's basically again the just in a different position. And then that led me to this chord. Then I thought, okay, I can't really return to that. So this led me to the E. Basically the whole thing is in F sharp. Then it key changes from the C1 part to the C2 part to the E. Thought, okay, but I don't want to stay in E, so I had to go back to F sharp. I thought, okay, what's a good way to change keys? So I thought, oh, yeah, diminished chords and stuff. So then I was in E, and then I experimented with this diminished arpeggio, and then I landed here and just went to the F sharp. I don't think that's the way you're supposed to key change with diminished patterns, but it worked, and it was a nice way into the F sharp chanty section, so the B1 again. And then I had this middle part. This is the C1. I thought, okay, it sounded a little bit. There was not that much. I had the ambient stuff, no, the sound design stuff. I'm gonna talk about later. But I thought, okay, I need some more melodic stuff. So I just came up with this part essentially. That stuff I also more or less constructed in the DAW. I jammed this part. I actually wrote on the guitar. No, it was completely different. Never mind. And it's now a little bit confusing. That's what I meant when I said the things intertwine. I have to quickly jump to the synth section, because I thought, okay, I want to have something more melodic. So I basically had these chords, and in the chords I wrote this melody with the chords basically. But at first I just wanted to do it with cool synths, but I noticed it doesn't work out that well, so I learned to play that stuff on the guitar. Then I recorded the guitar part here, the main guitar one. And then I thought, okay, since I already have 3 guitars now, I can do this harmony parts in the left and the right. So I just took the main guitar and pitched it around, and then I re-recorded it obviously to a proper part. And after I had something that worked out, and I thought, okay, it's a little bit chaotic, I want to have more structure, so I had a plan around that here. Because for instance here, the low guitar, so the right guitar plays and the left guitar just holds the one note. Now they play together. Again, low one moves, but then now the high part moves and then the low part again. And this pattern repeats basically. And with the main guitar, you know, it sounds quite otherworldly sick. And then we are in the C2 part, which is in E. There's nothing too crazy to mention here, but then we have here the diminished line to the F sharp chanty part B1 again here together with the guitars. Show it here. Yeah, that was basically this middle section, and I hope I didn't explain it too confusing, but I think it was hella confusing what I just talked. So that was the whole guitar section songwriting wise. Now I'm gonna talk about the mixing. Ooh, now it's getting really fun. So let's start with the main guitar here. That's raw DI sound. Here I have a tuner. Not that interesting. EQ. Just cut out the low end completely because that's what the bass is for. I don't need that in my guitar. And the guitar was also pretty cheap and it's a little bit muddy in the low end, so I don't want that. Then guitar rig. What do we have here? Noise reduction. Important. it's cleaner. Compressor, just then screaming for some extra distortion, and this amp basically, ultrasonic amp. Then I added the solid EQ from Native Instruments. Really liked it. It has pretty good presets. I love presets. Presets are awesome. So I used the distorted guitar preset. I also changed up some stuff. You know, that really adds this gritty high end. Then supercharger and GT, also Native Instruments. They used the rock guitar riff preset yet again, and I just tweaked that around too. Just gives a little bit more juice to it. Then a little bit of OTT. OTT, extremely important, multi-band compressor. Everybody loves it. You know, when I time on 1000%. And you know, when I turn it full up, just smash the sound mix with this thick sauce. But that's too much, you know. So just 20%. Then also on imager, because it's the main guitar and it's sometimes playing alone. And it was a little bit too mono for me. So I just widened it with the ozone imager, and that's actually a free plugin, and it's really good because you have, you know, I just added the stereo rise and a little bit of the width. You have to play around with it, otherwise it's, I don't know, it can get weird. But then I used utility to make the lower frequencies up to 400 mono again. So it's a little bit more controlled. If you're not using Ableton, you can cut it out. It's to the mid-side EQ. Then here, EQ8. This frequency, I assume it was harsh. So yeah, that was not sounding pleasant, so I removed it. Removed some of the high end here. There's basically no high end, but I just cut it away. And also bass again to make it cleaner. Then for the left and right guitar, exact same stuff. But then I started to go a little bit crazy. I wanted to have the stuff quite balanced out between left and right. So I yet again did some OTT just to smash the signal, glue compressor, glue it together. Then delay. Yeah, just to add some room. Also the Raum reverb from Native Instruments, because the guitars are cut out pretty drastically, so it rings a little bit long with the reverb. Then EQ8 again, cut it out the low end, but in the left and right guitar I had a little bit more low end than I usually do, because I noticed when I listen to a lot of metal mixes that there is more low end in the guitars. I usually cut it out everything above 100 and also made it mono above 100, but I noticed it was not good. So I listened to metal mixes and there was very stereo low end stuff when you don't want to the sub bass to be stereo, but you know, this little bit low end left and right, it's wonderful. Then here, I'm not really proud of this one. That's just a delay that adds some craziness. But it was kind of off-throwing, if you can say that. So what I then did was just to put it on 10%, so you can barely hear that. And I'm not proud of this move, because I think if something is not sounding good in the whole context, doesn't mix with the other stuff, it just usually just doesn't mix with the other stuff, and then turning it down to a point that you almost can't hear it is kind of loser shit, not gonna lie. Maybe it adds some stuff, but you can't pretty much hear it, so that's not a classy move here. Then I did something interesting, because it wasn't gritty enough for me in the context of the whole mix. This guitar bass layer basically has the input of the main guitar, so this whole thing is routed into this stuff. Here I can turn it up so you can hear it. Now you can clearly hear it. First gate, the guitar I used here a bass amp, I think. No, I used the same amp but with a bass cabinet. So then solid Q, I used again a preset, but the aggressive rock kick preset, because it sounded good. I don't know. Made it even grittier. Electric bass supercharger preset, made it even more powerful. OTT 10%. EQ8, this frequency was not good, so I cut it out. Utility below 150, it's mono basically. Then again a gate. Then to clean it up again, some stuff EQ'd out. De-esser to make it less harsh. And also an imager to make it less wide, a little bit less wide. So this just adds a little bit more grittiness to the whole stuff. And the whole guitars plus the bass layer and everything is on that guitar bus. Again, edited some harsh frequencies out. Gate, just to clean it up a little bit. Then a lot of glue compression to glue it together, as the name suggests. Then this EQ is basically just automated in the intro here for this stuff. So this opens up. That's pretty much it. Then again a little bit of room for the whole guitar. But then here, that's interesting, the vocoder. That's here for the C1 section. Because first I wanted to just use the synths, and then I thought, oh no, I use guitars, but then I wanted to make the guitars more synthy. That's why I vocoded them. So basically I just took the audio from the chords, where the chords in the synth department via raw saw wave. That's vocoding the guitars. But that's just on 15%. Yeah, and that's actually the whole stuff for the guitars. Okay, now one of the other main attractions, the drums. When I started making this track, the demo version, I made some drum parts, and then I thought, oh no, that's not good. That's not good. And I thought, okay, I'm playing drums for a little bit over 2 years now, so I can think like a drummer. That's a possibility. So I started doing that, and I made basically these drum parts. And I'm proud of these drum parts. You know, I'm really proud. It's the first time really started thinking like a drummer. I really thought, okay, how would I play this on the drum set? And for the whole drum parts, I would like to go into the drum playthrough I made, because then you can actually see how it's played. But one big disclaimer, the drum parts on the drum playthrough are different than the drum parts on the song, because I used more stuff. Because for instance here, I love chinas. I use chinas all over the place here. Boom, boom. I used 3 toms, 2 rag toms, 1 4 tom, a china, a second crash, a right crash basically, a splash. So splash, extra crash, extra China, extra tom. So I thought, okay, when I want to make this drum part, I only have less stuff on my electric kit. So I thought, okay, I have crash, I need a crash. So left crash, I have that in hi-hat, it's obviously needed, so hi-hat. Then I just have 2 toms because my other drum pad is broken, so I just have 2 toms and a snare. Kick, obviously. Then I thought, okay, should I swap the ride with the China? And then I thought, no. Then knowing that, I completely rewrote the drum parts, but with the ride instead, and just with ride and hi-hat basically, and 2 toms. So without talking too much, I would like to look at the drum playthrough. So here, the main part. You can also see the MIDI down here. We have here this little drag rudiment, you know, I play the, and I played it with a double stroke in the right hand, and then just the main snare hit with the left hand, and then immediately, that's a little bit, was tricky at first, but wasn't that tricky when not at first. You can see it here, basically here, bada bam. Here also did something, here did the right, left, right, kick, kick. That was actually not that easy for me to play it that fast, but with practice it got easier. Then here in the breakdown we have the first double bass parts. And the only really fast double bass parts. I would like to go to the drum parts here real quick. Didn't play it like that in the drum playthrough because I couldn't play it that fast. It was impossible. So I just played dun dun, not the 4 ones. Then here also I had to make the blast beat slower because I noticed I can't play that fast. No way. That's this part. That's the slower blast beat. That's extremely fun to play, I don't know why, but the offbeat kick and hi-hat is fun. Here again the drag rudiments. Then here we have double bass parts, but slower ones than in the breakdown. And then here fast triplets. I can show it to you here. Here we have the double bass. That are fast triplets. That was also quite challenging for me because it was too slow to play it with double bass, but a little bit too fast for me with a single pedal, but I did it anyways. But anyway, this transition, very basic transition, nothing that crazy to say here. Then for this part I thought, okay, I have this more metal part here everywhere, the first section, then the breakdown and stuff with double bass. So I want to have a little bit more groovy ghost note stuff because I love ghost notes. Also this whole drumming thing is a little bit Matt Garska, Animal Associates inspired, not that crazy, not on that level, nowhere near, but I love the ghost notes that he does, it's crazy. Then that's the first fill I had to change it because I couldn't play it, it was too hard. I just couldn't do that. Yeah, then I wanted to build it up a little bit, so I added the crashes in here and there, here. So now bring the energy up because that's what the song needed. Then here, this fill. That sounds, actually, I also wrote it here in the editors, it's so off that it sounds like I want to play something different. Because I played dun 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 dun, you know? It's actually should sound like, but it turned out that way. But it's okay. So then the next part, the C2 part. For that, I thought, okay, enough ghost notes for today. So I wanted to do more hi-hat stuff, the open hi-hats and rides, but also groove based, but with a lot of cymbal work basically. This fill is a crazy one, because there's also the break in the song, and I needed a fill, and I didn't know what I should do. Maybe synth stuff, ooh, crazy sound design. Then I thought, no, just a drum fill. And there's also the synth stuff here, I'm gonna talk about it later. Then we have double bass stuff and toms and everything. And here, double strokes. I thought about that. Including double strokes and stuff, you know, really think like a drummer. I'm maybe also gonna make a video like that somewhere in the future, more drum parts, writing for non-drummers, basics, that kind of stuff. Also a similar section here that first starts off, this is crazy double strokes. And then here, that's basically the last part is the same section. I also played it here. Not really clean. And now the chant part, this is totally off because it was hard for me to play the tributes. And so let's just look at the MIDI here. So I thought, okay, it needs heavy stuff, chanty stuff. So what I did, I actually wrote the most boring drum parts of all. They just follow the rhythm of the guitar with the kick, you know. And a lot of China. Then I added some toms here. Now we are back in the B2 part. That's exactly the same. Only the fill here is something different. That's the same stuff with the first B2 part. That's the only difference there's actually in the main guitar with the only that fill is different. Some tom stuff. Then A part again. Exact same stuff. Only at the end I did some crazier stuff. Then I thought, well, big fucking drum craziness at the end. So I did basically exactly that. I can show you the MIDI here also. Just did this tom run. This actually has interesting stuff because it starts basically snare, high tom, mid tom, low tom, mid tom, snare, high tom, mid tom, low tom, kick, mid tom. So it has this pattern down there, but it's displaced. So this part is different from this part, even though the pattern is the same basically. Then here, double stroke craziness. That was really hard to play and it couldn't even pull it off properly. And then, just for fun, I added some triplets in on the kick here. And that were all the drums, and I'm extremely proud of this. But now, after we have the whole, how it's called, arrangement, songwriting by Stan, we're gonna talk about their mixing. There's a lot to talk about with the drums, so stay tuned. I'm gonna do it right now. Okay, so drumming mixing wise, we have a lot of interesting stuff here. First, drum kit. There are programs, you can see it here. So what did I use? I used the Native Instrument Abbey Road Modern Drummer, the Modern White Kit, and I started out with using the alternative rock mix just for the demo version. Basically, you can also hear it, I can show it to you. First version with the chopped up guitars, and you can also hear the drums. In that you can hear that was the second drum mix. It was a little bit thin and over compressed, I don't know. Here I had the final mix down basically of the drums. So what did I do? You have the mixer right here and you can mix stuff in the plugin, but it's limited and I like to use my own plugins, and you can't do crazy sound design stuff. And my original plan was to do way more crazy sound design on the drums, and then I just didn't do it because it didn't work out that well as usual. So just having that in one track, it's not a good idea. So you can actually do that here with Contact. The outputs, you can assign different outputs. So I have one for the room, kick, snare, tom, hi-hat, overhead. So what does this mean? I have it right here. Here, just the kick, just the snare, just the toms. I don't know, where's the tom fill? Hi-hat, just the hi-hat and the overhead, and the room right here. Let's start with the kick. There is setting. I pumped up the in mic, out mic, no compression, little bit down with the sustain to get the boom out, because then it interferes with the bass and then the mix is not that clean. So then tape adds a little bit, I don't know. EQ does, yeah, a little bit. What did I do here? First, solid EQ, kick preset. Maybe I adjusted some stuff here, maybe I didn't, I don't know. Then solid dynamic, kick gate, it compressed it. Again, just presets, you know, it's the pattern. I love presets. Then here again, fat kick, supercharger, I love these plugins. Then here again in EQ, where dug down a lot of this 5K stuff, and around 3K, 5K, 625 Hz. So then transient master again, I reduced the sustain even more, also great plugin, especially to reduce sustain. A gates are always good. De-esser, probably it was a little bit harsh when you turn up the volume or something. So I de-essed it, and then I turned it here. It is basically mono, but just to make sure that it's really mono. That was the kick. So then the snare settings. I think I'm mixing a little bit more bottom mic than it was there. It's also a great plugin. You can even say how much bleed from the kick, for instance, you want to have on a snare. Then here EQ, a little bit of the tape separator. Then what do we have here? Snare EQ3, that's just an Ableton preset. I adjusted it a little bit to boost the fundamentals of the snare and some more top end. Then solid dynamic, parallel drums. Then drum bass, more compression, even more compression. And then transient master, a little bit more sustain, interesting. Then supercharger. I'm looking at this mixing stuff for the first time in months, so I'm not quite sure what I did sometimes. I compressed even more with the snare presets, but probably adjusted some stuff. Then this is an interesting plugin. I found that somewhere years ago for free snare bass. You can add bass to your snare. Then de-esser again to tame the high end, the harsh frequencies. Then didn't like the 7K apparently. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. And then glue compression, but I didn't use the compressor, just used the makeup gain. And the soft clip, especially soft clip, because I can make it louder, but I can soft clip it so it doesn't red line here somewhere. What did I do here for the toms? Tom 1, 2, 3, it's all the same probably. Settings, yeah, nothing interesting. Add some high ends. A little bit less attack, interesting. Took out sustain for the individual toms because, you know, the low toms are more boomy and last long, and so I took out sustain. It's even more sustain here. So what do we have here? Solid EQ floor tom preset. Boost some low ends, mid low and out, more high end. Yeah. Solid dynamics parallel drums again. Some compression, always good. Supercharger, drum pass. Yeah, that adds a lot of punch. But also, you know, you'll really hear the low tom and it lasts forever. So what did it do? More transient master, a little bit attack, a lot less sustain. Also took out some low end. And then the most important thing, the gate with a pretty long release so that it just cuts off the tail. You know, you can hear it. It comes in. Otherwise it rings forever. Then I made it louder because it was too quiet and soft clipped it again. Now we go to the cymbal department with the hi-hats. Yeah, just gets rid of some more low end. Tape saturator, I don't know, makes it more thick, I don't know. I have yet again a nice little preset, Hat EQ1 from Ableton. And then I wanted more attack on my hi-hats. Then I did something very creative. I added Redux, that's basically a bit reduction. Just 10%, otherwise it does that. Just adds a little bit crazy stuff to it. And just 10%, you know, I thought it's nice. Now overheads. We have two overhead mics actually in this plugin. We have overhead mids and overhead highs. So what did I do here? Just made the highs pop more here and took out low end. Actually not that mid actually, but then here the high stuff. That's actually more mid. That's also mono. Okay, it's not even mid and oh, it's just mono and stereo. Okay, now everything makes way more sense. This is just the mono signal and this is a stereo overhead mic. You know, that boosts everything, actually it boosts everything, but especially the hand. A little bit of compression, a little bit less attack, less sustain, because we have the attack in the drums, and less sustain because then we have more headroom and stuff. Tape, yeah, makes it a little more thicker. And then the plugins didn't do that much here. Solid EQ, overheads, yet again, the good old solid EQ with the preset. That just compresses the whole stuff together. You know, when I turn it up full, it gets crazy, adds a little of punch, like it's Cymbal 1 EQ, and I cut it out 7K. Yeah, that's not very pleasant. Then de-esser again to tame the high frequencies, and a glue compressor to make it louder and soft clip. Now room mic, what did I do here? Again, room mono. What do we have here? EQ, a little bit EQ. Turned the attack all the way down because we have enough attack in the mics themselves. Sustain all the way down because otherwise too much noise, Compression, tape saturation, nothing too crazy. Compression, yeah, very subtle stuff, very subtle. A little bit of the reverb. Use just random room. So EQ8 took a little bit of the low end aus, especially the kick frequency and the snare frequency. Then Transient Master again took out a little bit of the sustain. Utility made everything below 200 Hz mono. And then the Raum reverb. And on this whole drum kit bass, we have a drum bass. Then utility again turned that stuff mono. It actually should be mono. That's just for aesthetics right there. EQ8 took a little bit of the 2K frequencies out. Probably because in the context of the mix I needed that. Probably de-esser a little bit. And a little bit crew compression and soft clip, but it doesn't really clip, to compress it together. And that's the drum mix. Now the bass. Everyone loves the bass. In DaniMusiX tracks usually I use some kind of synthesized bass. First because I don't own a bass, second because it's fun. For instance, in Molar tracks, and I'm gonna show you something very interesting, my secret second channel, Musics, it's called 3 subscribers, I'm gonna link that in the description. Just sometimes upload random music ideas that are rough and unedited. For instance, I have here the sub bass from my track Feedback, just to show you that really quick. Still like that bass a lot. That's a good bass. For instance, in Farfling I used 808s, but here I thought, okay, I'm gonna need a new creative concept for my bass. So what did I do? First, I drew in the MIDI. So that's the bass we're talking about here. Pretty much follows the left and right guitar rhythm wise. No, because what I found, if you have second with no bass and then bass, it hits hard. So what do we have here? First I started with the sub bass. What did I do here? Just a vital patch. It's just a sine wave. A very low sine wave. On some speakers you already can't even hear that. Saturated it a little bit. EQ, you can see it here, it's just one clean sine at 45 Hz. And then I EQ'd it again and again so that there's really no clicking sound. For instance here the clicking sound, I EQ'd it out with all the 3 because one wasn't enough. Then here utility, make it mono. Then I had to layer that, so we have this very strong foundation of the bass. It's for the little bit higher bass register, for the higher frequencies, just sine wave again, 1 octave higher than the sub, with some noise and soft clip the shit out of it. Then some EQ to completely remove the sub frequencies of the sub, of the proper sub, so they don't clash into each other. Then OTT 100%, and again 3 OTT, very important. Then electric bass, solid dynamics preset, and then solid EQ. Rock bass EQ, just narrowed it down a lot. Then everything below 500 Hz because the noise is a little bit stereo, I made mono again, and some drive, and then I layered it with bass guitar. That's a proper bass guitar contact patch. Gary pre-bass, that's how it sounds. Then bass amp, that's again just a preset. It didn't change anything probably. Solid EQ, rock bass, preset again. Then EQ8 edited even more out, so it's just a layer for the vital higher sub, I guess. Then saturator plus 36 dB. That's where the secret sauce is, just distorted. Then even more equalization, just the high end basically, and gate. And then together, it's pretty good. And then together with the sub, that's powerful. Could argue that the bass is pretty quiet, but there's something I noticed. It's better to have less of the bass, because then the sub hits harder in a way, I don't know. Can't really explain it. And also, I chose to have more low end in the guitars, especially in the left and right guitars. So they take up a little bit of that space, so it's not needed. So now we get to the interesting stuff, the layer. As I said in the beginning, I experimented a lot with granular synthesis, especially this super cool granular synth from Native Instruments called Straylight. It's awesome, and I also used that for the bass layer. So I'm gonna show you how I made this. I started with preset yet again, and that's kinda how it sounded, but I changed some stuff here, grain position, sample stuff. Just turn some knobs until it sounded like I wanted it. And then EQ, remove the bass because we have a sub for that. Then overdrive, that's important. Then OTT always. And that's the secret sauce right there, OTT. Then a gate to remove some bullshit. Then more overdrive, always good. Q for the crisp high end. And utility, you guessed it right, it's to make the bass mono. Adds a nice layer. On its own it sounds kinda weird, but in the context is pretty good. But then I wanted to have more movement. That's why I added the noise layer. That's also Approaching Neverland. That's a preset I also changed, so it's more noise and less tonal, but it's a little bit tonal. That's the noise. Then again OTT, EQ8, less bass, OTT, overdrive, redux, so bit reduction. Doesn't do that much, but a little bit. Again EQ, utility again, yeah, I wanted to have it way more mono. And then I used a utility to automate that stuff, and you can see I automated it exactly how I liked it for the movement. And then with the whole bass, for instance, you can hear it here pretty good. That's that stuff. So that really adds a little bit of push and pull and suction and I don't know what. You know, it sounds more flat and less dynamic without it and with it. So you get sucked into the song basically. That's what I wanted. Now, ambient guitars, synths, percussion, trailer act. So let's start here with the ambient guitars. Songwriting wise, there's not that much to say actually. It's just the main riff. You know, I showed that in a very early in the video, and I also showed the chords. Don't know them anymore and forgot them already, but you can see it there. Just the same shape moved up and down. Just another role of this ambient guitar is just ambience and adding the harmony, the harmonic context for everything. So that just repeats all over again. Then in the breakdown part it completely stops, then it comes in again for the B2 part, for the groovy part, and then in the C1 part, I also explained that in the explanation of the guitar song writing stuff, where I explained how the C section came to be. First, there's this part where I showed with the high E, also in the chords in the beginning of the video. That's basically the riff that I made out of this idea. That's the transition part basically. And then these chords here, these little beautiful chords, that just get repeated and repeated. Over that is the guitar harmony part. I also explained that in the guitar stuff. And then here you have the chord that leads to the C section, which is in E and not F sharp like the other stuff. And after that we have the diminished part. Also showed that in the guitar explanation. Here then just some random stuff here and there adds with the change part. Just for some ambience. Then again the same part, main part repeated over and over. And outro, same stuff again. Then just I let it rings out, and that's the end of the song. Now let's talk about the sound here, because that's far more interesting, far more. So what did I do here? Glue compressor. That's just to make the stuff louder. Then here, cut it all the low end out and the high end that doesn't even exist. Then guitar rig 6. That's where the secret sauce lies. Yet again I used the preset, but I changed it quite a lot. Replica, delay, then an AC box, it's clean amp, little bit of crunch in there. And then the signal splits in two parts, the A part and the B part. It's the replica shimmer. Angelic shades, that was the preset I played around with. Adds this pad-like stuff to it. And then on the right we have this. It's basically just delayed and pitched 7 semitones up, so a fifth basically. So we have this interesting balance between left and right. And then just some compression. Very subtle, just for the transients, taming the transients. Then delay, ribleted delay. Ping pong, always ping pong delay is best delay. I love ping pong delay. You know, it does the cool stuff, left and right. Then EQ again, just narrowed it down. Took some frequencies out so it sits better in the mix. And then again, Raum reverb. Quite a lot, almost 30% decay, and that's the ambient guitar. Also interesting to know, this stuff was not that easy to play. Man, it was easy to play, but to play that it sounds tight, I had to edit it a lot and off grid. You can see it here, because if you edit it to the grid, it sounds off grid. It's I don't know why, but just has to edit it a lot in order to get it flawless. Also made a little mini melee playthrough of the clean guitar parts on my Instagram. You can check that out if you want. Link is in the description. Anyway, now I would like to talk about other stuff. For instance, the crazy synths, granular synthesis. What did I do here? First off, I love granular synths. They're great. If you don't know what the granular synth does, it basically takes a sample or something like that, and then it divides them in the little grains, and then it plays them randomly or in order, and it gives you interesting results. And I have this awesome plugin called Straylight, Native Instruments, yet again. And I just used a lot of presets, because there are a lot. And there are a lot of transition presets, and I just re-recorded that and arranged them right here. That's what I did here. And panned them around and made them sound good. Then here, that's a whale noise, actually, because I thought, just arranged and thought exactly here I want a whale noise. So I went on YouTube. I used that whale sound effect for editing. It's really bad quality actually. And I added some auto pan, so it's that part is left and then right. So it moves around a little bit, EQ'd a little bit, and a lot of reverb. And that's how I arranged the transition parts there in the intro a lot. Here some in the B part. Then here for the C part again, a lot of them. All over the C part, the C1 part, then in the C2 part just in this little break with the drum fill. And then in the outro again, the outro. And to top it off, I used the reverse intro because I wanted to do a little more palindromic, you know. Then for the transitions I did a little bit of EQing here, a little bit of ozone, immature, made it a little bit wider, 50%, a little bit, that's quite a lot. Here is the mid-side EQ we talked about that you can use when you're not using utility. Basically here you can EQ the mids and the sides separately. Then I used some instruments here too, Straylight preset again. Then this topping, call it topping, with just this little bit of noise. And also this has some melodic stuff, but also this noise that pans around, which is cool. Then this riser thing, which comes in. Here also, that's just a very reversed outro here, arrangement wise. So it fades in more and more, here fades out more and more. And then for the glorious C part, we have just some pads which plays the chords. Then this grain tenor sax. Then a little bit on the whole synth bass. Some EQ, I use that build up. When you take low end away gradually in the build up, you have then the sudden impact of the whole low end when the drop hits. So the drop is the C section and it gets busy and busy, so I didn't want that much low end. So I added that stuff out. Other than that, what do we have here? A vocoder, just on the noise, the Ableton vocoder with the noise, because this added this nice water texture and I like that. So 30% of that. That sounds great. Then reverb. So now the percussion. What's the purpose of that stuff? To enhance the experience, the song, the heaviness, basically. You can't really hear it, but you will notice when it's missing. For instance, just adds heaviness, adds room, adds space. Yeah, just glues everything together. So what do we have here? All 3 samples actually downloaded some time ago. Just Google trailer percussion, stuff like that, and you will find it. I can't really say too much about that because, you know, add hits where you want hits, add sweeps where you want sweeps, add rises where you want rises, add downers where you want downers. And it's pretty self-explanatory, you know. So now, mixing and mastering. The final steps. We're almost done. When I basically was done with the song, I thought, okay, it's not flawless yet, so I began the fixing process, how I'd like to call it. And I just went through every little section, guitars, and tried to make it perfect, mixed it to my liking, drums, did that. I went through the whole thing and I thought, is that realistic? Bass, same thing. Also added this utility which just, it's basically a and automated gate. So that's really on point. Everything is just playing when I wanted to. Percussion, same stuff. Synths, theme, made it all completely flawless. And then after that I went into the mixing, but basically the mixing was also kind of done because I already mixed while doing it. But I have some tips here I wanted to share. First, I like to mix with a lot of headroom. For instance, here everything minus 10 dB. That's basically my go-to thing. Then what's extremely important, how to get a clean mix. You want to have room for everything, and I call it vertical and horizontal mixing. It doesn't make any sense, don't question it. Maybe I'm gonna do a video about that too, but don't want to have too much frequency overlapping, and also time wise less overlapping. Time wise, try to not play everything at once, obviously. And there's also a trick, side chaining, a lot of side chaining, and I don't like to side chain with compressors that much. I like to side chain with volume automation. You can also do that with, I don't know, volume shaper, the X-File thing or something like that, with MIDI notes. But I just do volume automation when the kick hits and the snare hits. I can show that to you right now. For the sub, sidechain kick, just gain automation. Whenever the kick hits, no bass is playing, bass comes in after the kick or after the transient of the kick. Then for the bass I have the same, but kick and the snare. Then layer just for the snare, because it doesn't really interfere with the kick that much. So it just frees up a little bit, and when you do that on a lot of stuff, frees up quite a lot. Can really hear it with percussion. Just every time kick and snare hits, it ducks down, and on its own this sounds kind of goofy, but with the drums you don't notice it that much, and especially in the mix you don't notice it at all, but it frees up the mix. Then synth stuff also have kick and snare. That's basically the thing. Also, I try to make kicks relatively short, as you saw with the transient master, and the toms, so they don't interfere with the bass. So no time interfering and no frequency interfering. Then I just try to make the mix sound balanced. So what's the secret there? Just compare to a lot of mixes, listen to it to other songs, then immediately listen to your song. Analyze songs with a frequency analyzer, something like that. Just listen for 50 minutes to songs to get your ears refreshed, and then listen to your song. Then you will immediately notice what's not. Also, listen on different headphones. I listen on dead headphones, on cheaper headphones, on speakers, on phone speakers, and just compare it. For instance, on these headphones the mix sounded good, but on other headphones it sounded not good. So just listen to songs, listen to your own song, adjust stuff, take different headphones, listen to songs, then adjust stuff. At some point you maybe get a little bit paranoid and think there are more mistakes than there really are. So always take breaks so you can refresh yours, and then just compare it until you think it's good. So mastering, I'm not a mastering expert, but do it anyway. So first thing I did, load in the mix. You can see a lot of headroom, I like that. And I adjusted, make a nice fade in. Also did here with the reverb, it was a little bit cut off, and I just fixed that. What did I do? First, EQ, cut off everything below 20 Hz, because human ear can't hear it, so why bother? Just cut it away. Again, also 20k, cut it away. Then I again compared the master to the stuff, so I probably ducked down the low end a little bit because it was too much, and added a little bit of high end. So then I added a limiter with the ceiling on -7 dB, which just makes sure nothing's over -7 dB. Then glue compressor, just made it louder. Then again limiter, -4 dB. I don't know if this is necessary, just did it. Then here, I saw that in some mastering video, I think Dr. Ozzy or something like that. Yeah, I just used some multiband compressors and made this little Ableton rack and just compressed the low and the mids and the highs just a little bit, 5%, to tame some transients. Then supercharged GD mix widener. I like that. I love to put it on my master, but just 10% or something. But it adds some high-end crispiness. Just listen to it. Then utility, you guessed it, everything to 90 Hz. I made mono. Some people go way crazier with this and make way more mono, but I think especially for this kind of song it's not necessary, and there was a little bit of bass in my stereo guitars, so 90 Hz, I think that's a good value to make things mono to. Then equate again 20 Hz, 20k Hz, cut it out. But then, you know, there's this rule of thumb for streaming services that you should have -1 true peak dB and integrated around -14 to 12 LUF, and I ended up with -12 or something when I remember that correctly. But I noticed that stuff is usually louder, so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make it as loud as possible, but in a realm where it still sounds good. And it's actually pretty quiet, but I couldn't get it any louder without making it sound too overcompressed and distorted. So I just thought, who the fuck does turn off the loudness normalization on streaming services first? And if you do that, then just turn up your volume or something when you listen to my stuff. So I would just suggest you to make it as loud as possible, and if it's not super loud, I don't know, just say it's protest against loudness or something. That pretty much wraps it up. That was the production breakdown, and now I'm gonna get back to the nicely edited ending part of this video where I explain what I learned. So have fun with some fun edits and good scripted video after this rambling for 20,000 hours. It was quite a long breakdown, I assume. I haven't recorded it yet. Anyway, so what did I learn from this song? Don't know, I have to look at my notes first. So this is definitely the hardest I ever worked on a track. I never put that much thought into everything ever. And it was tedious quite a lot of times, because you have the song idea in your head and then you have to get it out of your head into existence. And that takes time, especially if you want to make it as flawless as it can get. And that was basically my plan here. The big thing I learned over the years is that at the end, the stuff I make usually sounds quite good. In my earlier years it was definitely more bipolar with the confidence I had in my project, but now I'm less. For instance, when I started the project, I thought, okay, this is gonna be the dopest shit ever in existence. Then I did something that didn't work out and thought, oh no. And then I questioned my abilities as a musician. And then whenever I did something good, on the other hand, I thought, okay, this is the shit and I'm the shit too. The shit too. To an extent this is pretty normal, I think, but nowadays I play a little bit more in the middle ground and have gained over the years of experience the trust in my abilities, so that I know, okay, end product is gonna be alright. No need to worry in between. Also, don't be discouraged if it's not always fun. I can tell you, if I create something, it's just tedious and annoying and frustrating at least 50% of the time. But the amount of satisfaction and fulfillment you get when you finish the product and you have it and it's good, that's crazy. Did I learn something else? I mean, I'm definitely a better producer and songwriter and guitarist and drummer than before the project, but I guess that's how practice works. You do it and you become better, so obviously that's happened. Yeah. Another thing I forgot to say, just recorded the whole drum playthrough, and what I learned is that I really have to focus my practice on rhythmical accuracy. I made a whole video about that anyway, and I just really have to get this down, because I noticed the hard sections and the easy sections sound equally bad because everything's off. You know, it was also easy sections were hard to record to get a good take, hard sections were equally hard, sometimes even easier because they're fast and then don't notice the sloppiness too much. I just really have to practice rhythmical accuracy. That's my focus for the summer on guitar and on drums. And then everything will be so much better, because if you don't have it nailed down here, everything sucks. Everything's completely worthless. So really, rhythmical accuracy is the most important thing here. So now that I'm done with this project, what am I gonna do? Make more videos, definitely, because I missed editing. I love editing, so fun to do. I don't know what videos exactly, maybe also about some topics I mentioned in this breakdown, but let's see. Music wise, I'm pretty satisfied with the path I'm on right now, to make more proggy, complex stuff that's also heavy with crazy sound design and production, and at the same time it should be catchy and vibey and sick. So that's pretty much the lane I'm on right now, but you know, these plans often change on a weekly basis, sometimes even an hourly basis, so don't want to make too many promises right here. If anyone watched up to this point, I highly appreciate it, and now I would like to say, go listen to Laral if you want. You know, it's Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere.